Hello, I'm Denis Ram, a lawyer at Shim Law. Today we're going to talk about wrongful dismissal, what it means for you, and the steps you can take if you've been wrongfully dismissed. A wrongful dismissal is when an employer terminates an employee without a valid reason or without giving the proper notice period or severance pay. There are a few different ways someone can be wrongfully dismissed, but typically they fall into one of two categories. The first situation is when an employer fires someone with cause but fails to provide any evidence or reasoning on what that cause actually is. An example of that is if an employer fires an employee, for example, for stealing, but has no evidence that that employee actually committed the theft. The second is when an employer fires an employee without cause, meaning they fired them without a reason specific to the employee, but they don't provide enough notice or severance pay. An example of this is if an employer lays you off without giving you the proper severance pay as outlined in your employment contract. If you've been wrongfully dismissed, you may be able to sue your employer for damages. Damages is compensation for what you were owed if the employer hadn't breached employment laws. Although there are many damages that you may be able to claim, some common damages include payment in lieu of notice, benefits, punitive damages, as well as aggravated damages. But obviously this all depends on the severity of your claim and the particulars to your specific issue. To potentially avoid litigation and going to court, you may be able to negotiate a severance package with your employer at the time of the dismissal. Not only is this going to save you time by not having to go to court, but this is a lot of the times the fastest way to get on with your life after being wrongfully dismissed. Some tips for negotiating a fair severance package includes 1, getting legal advice. Talk to a lawyer so they can look at the merits of your claim and give you an idea of what you could expect in a severance package that's fair for everyone. The second tip is don't sign anything right away. You're not required to sign any severance package an employer may offer to you without consulting a lawyer first. It's important you do this to ensure you are getting a fair shake from your employer. And the final tip is don't be afraid to walk away. If the deal that's being offered to you by your employer doesn't sound right, you are entitled to walk away from it and seek legal advice. If you aren't able to come to a settlement agreement, you may sue your former employer for damages. This is typically the final step and is only done if every other option has been unsuccessful. These are some tips on how to deal with wrongful dismissals. If you've been wrongfully dismissed or you'd like to chat about your own case, feel free to reach out to me directly by email at dram@shimlaw.ca or give me a direct call at 587-391-5615. Thanks so much for your time and see you next time.